Good afternoon, everyone, and greetings of peace and Om Shanti. Welcome to this afternoon's Insightful Dialogue series, and hope you are feeling well. And by the time we finish this session, uh, we all are able to see the blessings and release the burdens that we might think that there are burdens in relationships, because what burdens any relationship experiences is because of all the baggages of the past that we're holding with us as we go in this journey of life. When hands are free, then we can catch love and we can catch other things, so this topic is a good one during this very interesting and challenging times that we are in, and making peace with the past. It's a good time for us to do that. And what a better speaker to share this with us other than Sister Sneha. Sister Sneha, has been practicing Raja Yoga for the past 6 years. She's one of the youngest presenters among the many presenters that we end up having throughout the month and throughout the year. But I would emphasize and I would elaborate on the fact that she is, from my personal experience, she is one of the most sensible, wise, sharp, um, focused, and caring souls I have come to meet and had and still have pleasure of working with. Um, One thing that she does professionally, Sister Sneha works as a senior business analyst in Los Angeles, and she remains very dedicated to deliver excellence. Yet, what is nice is that she loves and she loves to share with everyone that meditation and her spirituality, they have taught her a lot, and what has taught her, and brought her to this point, and to the quality of life that she is living. And just one last thing that I like to add is about Sister Sneha, our presenter this evening, is how much I appreciate and like watching her with her big smile on an ongoing big smile, and her radiant presence. So I would say this is not just my impression. I will invite you to see it for yourself. So without any further ado, dear Sister Sneha, please, the Zoom spotlight is yours now.
Thank you, Sister Lisa. That was a very sweet introduction coming straight from your heart, which makes it so special. So thank you for that. And welcome everyone to our Saturday workshop series. And as Sister Lisa said, that we're going to talk about releasing some of the past emotions that we're holding on to. Because like she so nicely explained, we have these hands which we're holding on to something, and the moment we release that, we are able to catch love. So it's really about releasing those stuck or blocked emotions within, and really seeing how much love we have within, and how much love we can receive from the universe out here, and also from the spirit, source of spirit, which is the Supreme. So what I'm going to do now is is I'm going to share the screen, and I will be using the whiteboard for this presentation. And this is something we've just started using recently. So to a good extent, have a good handle over it. But if things happen here and there, please forgive me in advance. So here, what you see is, and I'm going to go ahead and draw. Okay, this is me. All right, a happy being, smiling, radiant, peaceful. And here, what I really have is a zip. Okay, so it's like I have this head, and the forehead is really zipped from one ear to the other. And inside this zip, or what I really, or I would say, the whole packet there that's zipped, what I really have is my thoughts. I'm just going to write in short form. I have feelings, and I have emotions that I'm holding on to within. All right. And now, sometimes what happens in life is we meet people, we grow closer to them. So we forge relationships. And in those relationships, sometimes we face what I would say is not always happy moments, right? Sometimes those moments are full of hurt, or they're full of pain. So what happens within when we face such situations coming from the past is, again, drawing another face. And what I'm going to do here, and this is myself again. So this is the other version of me. Maybe I should not be putting that smiley anymore here. So let me remove that for now, and maybe go ahead with just this. So this is me. And now what I'll do is I'll go and unzip and just try to open my own head. So just like when you unzip any particular pouch, you open it up and you try to look within. So what I'm going to do is I'm unzipping my own self, and I'm seeing what's happening within. And what I start to see inside are people, situations, problems that I'm surrounded with, and the pain, the trauma, and the suffering that it caused me, right? So what I usually do is I hold on to the feelings of pain, and I hold on to the feelings of hurt. And when I start to hold on to these feelings, what happens is this person inside of me starts to grow bigger and bigger. So it's there in my head, but now instead of being this tiny figure, what's happened is in the head, it's become even bigger, even bigger to an extent that I feel so heavy-headed. I feel that there is so much burden within me that it's completely exhausting me. It's completely taking away all my energy, right? So what is happening here really is that this person, was there in your life and maybe still is there. But what happens is that this person did cause you some pain, this person did cause you some hurt, and maybe right now, in the present, this person is not even there in front of you. So maybe it's just a closed chapter, this person is no longer there. But what happens is he is still there, or he or she is still there in my thoughts. So even though this person is not causing me any pain in the present moment, but what I am doing really is I am going back to the past, to the scene where this person caused me hurt, and I am creating those emotions of pain and hurt all over again. So this time this person is not there, but I myself chose to go back to that scene, which which caused me pain, and I choose to relive the emotions of pain and hurt. So now the question really is, who is causing me hurt this time? Is it that person, or is it my own mind?
My own mind.
My own mind.
Yeah.
my own mind, right? Right? Because this time that person is not in front of you, right? But I chose to go back and I chose to see that same scene again on the screen of my mind. So naturally, I started to relive those emotions within. So this pain that I undergo by going back to the past is really self-inflicted pain. Here we cannot say that this person was responsible because that person wasn't even there in front of you, but you chose to go back and look at it, right? uh, it's I'll share, and it's very, very important to understand that when we go back to our past, what we do in a very subtle way is go back and even download the emotions of that past memory. Very, very subtly it happens. So I'll give you a personal experience that happened with me just a few weeks back, so it's quite fresh in the intellect. So what really happened was when I was young, um, I think maybe 13 or 14 years of age, I was asked to go on stage and talk in front of people. So this was in school, and I was always very scared of going in front of public and speaking, something I really, really dreaded. And I went in front on the stage, and I completely went blank, completely blank. There was just no words coming out of my mouth. And I could see that people were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Those feelings were coming in. And when I was looking at the audience, and that was making me all the more nervous. And I was like, and my hands started to shake. There was this nervousness within. So it was that memory, which was very deep inside, and that memory was attached to this emotion of fear, deep, deep fear of just standing in front of people and talking. And I hold on to that fear for many years. That's why after that, I always ran away from maybe speaking in public or speaking in front of people, something I would absolutely resist from my end. And as I came into this organization, I was asked that, why don't you share? Why don't you go ahead? Why don't you speak up? And initially, I was very reluctant. I was like, no, I'll just be behind the scenes. I'll help you with whatever you want to do, but just don't ask me to come in the front and speak anything. So, because I was holding on to that fear emotion so deeply within. But then eventually there came a point when I started to think that, for how long can I hold on to this emotion? I mean, the whole purpose of coming and learning meditation is to let go of these emotions. So why not take one step at a time and, start interacting more, start doing a little bit of experience sharing with people, and start with that, like we say, baby steps. So started with that, and eventually it felt like, okay, there was the confidence started to build more and more. And then there was a certain point when I felt that I was to a good extent able to overcome this emotion of fear. Like, it was more like, now I enjoy doing it. I enjoy sitting and talking to people and sharing with them. So that was about this particular emotion. But what happened just a few weeks back was, while I was having a conversation with my mother, it somehow sparked a memory from the past. And that memory from the past led to that scene where I was standing on the stage and, completely blank. And I was thinking about that scene for quite some time, And then after that, just maybe a few minutes later, I had to again go for a class and share. And I remember when I sat down, it was a Zoom class, so it was a computer in front of me. And as I sat down and I logged in and I was just looking at everyone, I could feel that the trembling of the hands started, the nervousness came back, the sweaty palms, this feeling was there. So I was just starting to go, I started observing myself, and I'm like, I thought I overcame these emotions, the emotions of fear. I thought I surpassed them. Why are they coming back now? And then immediately it was a touching that just came straight within, that you went back to your past. So you downloaded whatever emotions you carried in the past. And that was it. That was it. It was a very powerful realization that if I go to the past, if I relive the scene of the past, I am by default going to download these emotions and feel it. And then I would feel like, oh, I did so much to overcome all this, but how did it come back? Well, the answer is very simple. You just went back to that scene and you replayed it in your mind, right? Just like I take a phone and suppose I am saying something on that phone. Maybe I'm just recording my voice. And between the minute 1 to 2, a truck passes by. So in that recording, now you even have the sound of the truck passing by, right? So now when you play the replay button and you just keep pushing that button to play, between the minute 1 to 2, you will hear your voice, but at the same time, you will hear the voice of the truck, the sound of the truck passing by, right? No matter how many times you press the push button, it is going to come back again and again. Why? Because with that recording of my voice, what was connected was, or what got associated was the sound of the passing of the truck. So every scene that I undergo, right? Every scene that I see in my life, in the background, I have emotions connected to that scene. So the moment I choose to go back to the scene and think about it, those emotions are going to also be a part of that. And they are going to resurface. It happens, it's just default, it just happens on its own. Just like the sound of the truck will come as a background sound, no matter how many times you play it, right? So then it is all about me letting go of that past scene, right? Now, I do not want to think about this past scene anymore. I have to let go of that memory, right? I have to let go of that memory. And now what we can do is maybe we can go to a new page. And so what I really need to do here is forget. And when we say forget, it doesn't mean I erase it out of my consciousness, right? Because that scene cannot be erased. It's not like it's gone and it's completely out. It's not about that, but what really it is that the impact from that scene is not that I would say painful anymore, which means what I'm really doing is I am disconnecting myself from that scene, and I'm no longer bringing it on the screen of my mind again and again, right? This is about forgetting that that scene doesn't come into my conscious screen anymore, the screen of my mind anymore. And the fundamental law is, if you want to get something, right? And I'm sure many of you must have heard this when you all listen to classes on karma, is what you give is really then what comes back to you is what you get, right? So what we have to do here is forgive, and that will lead to forgetting. Means that scene is not going to come and bother me anymore again and again. Now, forgiving something of the past that has happened, which we hold on with so many emotions. It's easy for us to say forgive, but it is a power. It's a power to forgive. Forgiveness requires immense inner strength, right? And sometimes what happens is we hold a lot of, I would say, different notions about forgiveness. One notion that we hold on to, that if I forgive someone, it really means that I'm okay with what they did to me, right? So I'm okay with what they did to me. So, so for example, in a relationship, you were abused, you were cheated on, your trust was completely broken, you're definitely not okay with what that person did to you. There's no chance you can be okay, right? And that is not even what forgiveness is all about. Forgiveness is all about, not about I'm being okay what you did to me, but forgiveness is about giving me something. It is for me. I am giving myself something, and that's why it is forgiveness for me. It's the giving nature for me. And what I'm really giving from my end is I'm giving a lot of self love to myself. I'm connecting with the source of love, which is the supreme, and I'm bringing about immense healing within. That healing really is what gives me strength at the very end, right? So it is for me, and it is for me to realize that if I don't forgive, right, if I don't forgive, what I'm doing is I'm suppressing. And if I'm suppressing, I am keeping myself away from what? Happiness. Again, I'm just using the first letters, peace and love, right? Because the moment I'm thinking about the past, what I'm doing, I'm just feeling sad, I'm feeling upset, I'm feeling hurt. So at that particular moment, what I'm doing is I'm keeping myself away from the other virtues that I could have experienced at the same moment, that of love, peace, and happiness, right? I remember in one class that there was this one female, she said that I was abused in a relationship. How can I forgive that person? And it was just a moment of silence. No one could really say something because her emotions were so intense, right? And you wouldn't want to say anything because you know that she was going through a lot of pain at the moment. But then another person just, started speaking to her, and she said that, even I had been abused as a child from my parents. I was abused by my parents, but I choose to forgive, not because from what they did to me, but I chose to forgive because I want to lead a life where I can love, I can be happy, and I can live a life with dignity. So for that dignity, for the respect of the self, and for experiencing self-love, I choose to forgive, I'm sorry. And that just one statement made that other soul feel so empowered, like she was understood, like she was her feelings were understood. So it is about that. It is about understanding that if we hold on to any of these memories of the past, what we're really doing is we're keeping ourselves very stuck to all these emotions of pain, sorrow, which creates a burden for me, which creates a lot of burden for me, right? For how long can I hold something in my head? For how long? Even if I'm holding something in my hand for a long time, after some time, the hand starts paining. Imagine how we hold for years and years within so much things of the past. So, but naturally, it starts draining the energy of the soul, right? It starts to drain the energy of the soul. And we always say that forgiveness is difficult. It's difficult. Well, let me ask a question, that what if I told you you just had 4 hours remaining to live, and after that you're going to die? After that, you're going to die in 4 hours. So will you spend those 4 hours thinking about the past, or would you just want to spend in silence or in peace, in happiness? What do you think?
Peace and
Definitely
silence.
with peace.
Yeah, yes,
Peace.
right. What would you be thinking internally is, well, I just have 4 hours remaining. Why do I hold on to all of these things? What's the point? Right? I am going to leave this body very soon. So you see, that time you're easily able to forgive because that awareness is there that I don't have much time, right? So the art of living, what we really call, we ask, right, what's the art of living? The art of living is really, and I'll just request everyone to mute their lines if so that there's no background sound, so that when someone's watching a recording, they don't have to listen to the background sound. So the art of living, like it's written over here, really is the art of dying, right? The art of dying. Just ask yourself very, very deeply. Time is, our life is limited. Our life is short for a short period of time. And it's not even predictable. Today I'm here, tomorrow something could happen. Do I really want to hold on to all these scenes in my head of the past and just create this pain within, which is not even there in the present, right? Because when you are about to die, you're in a state where you automatically ask for forgiveness, right? If you've done something wrong, it comes from the heart that forgive me, I don't have much time. And if there's any pending emotions, you actually even reach out to those people and be like, please, let's resolve it now. It's the time when we really open up from within, when we open up, because we realize that really now time is short, right? So it's for us to really go within and check that, why am I holding on to all this when I don't even know for how long I'll be here, right? So if you really want to know the art of living, you have to practice the art of dying, right? So the next is that now when we want to have that feeling within, create that feeling within, that process where we want to heal, right? So what is really necessary for that healing to happen? Because forgiveness will come very easily when you have healed yourself. The healing within is what gives you strength, and that strength allows you to move on from the past scenes, right? And healing happens only when there is love. Only when there is love can healing happen, right? So love provides healing. Healing gives you the strength, and with the strength, you can forgive. That's why it says power to forgive, right? It has you have to have immense power from it. And so now when it comes to love, really, when it comes to love, there are three sources from where we receive love in our lives. Can anyone guess what they are? Before go ahead and draw on the whiteboard, or maybe just write it. Three sources from where we receive love.
Love yourself.
The self, yes. What else?
From
God,
Baba.
God. Okay, what else?
relationships,
Relationships, yes. So the three sources where we receive love from is, one is from the self, the other is from God, and the third one is from family and friends. Okay, and now let's ponder on each source of love. So the first is self-love. Now, if you see, most of the time, we're more self-critical in nature than really having self-love, which means if we make mistakes, we find it extremely hard to forgive ourselves, right? If we do something wrong or something unintentionally happens, but how self-critical we get. So because of the self-criticism that is there within, I'm not able to have that feeling of love that needs to be there. All right, so the self-love is right now not there. Now the second is love from God. Now, one thing is you believe in God, right? You believe in God, and to some extent that gives you strength. Your belief to some extent gives you strength. But really, in order to experience love from God, what you need to have is a relationship of closeness, a relationship of belonging. And I'm just going to use the first letter since I don't have much space. A relationship of closeness, relationship of belonging, and a relationship of feeling accepted. Feeling accepted. That's a very, very powerful form when you feel accepted by someone, no matter what you are. Right? No matter what I am, I'm still accepted by the other person. So when I feel I have this connection with God, then only I can really experience God's love in true sense, right? Otherwise, I'll just say, okay, yeah, there is God, I believe in it. But that connection and that love factor is still missing to a great extent. And then, of course, there is love, which is coming from family. And then there's love that is coming from friends. Now, if you see, we invest most of our energy, our heart, our time on this source of love, right? We focus on this source of love. And what happens? What happens is when we don't get that love back from this source, right? From a relationship, we're completely shattered. There's a complete upheaval that happens within. But what happens is really I failed to realize that love from family, friends is just one source of love. There are other sources of love also I can tune into and feel that love, which can bring about immense healing within, right? The dilemma about life is that we spend a lot of our energy, time, our heart on physical relationships, right? Which means with others, friends and family. But those relationships are not permanent. And that is a dilemma that we face, right? Today, someone is there. Tomorrow, that person is no longer there or moved to another place or, just cut off relationships with you, right? So that happens, right? Because that relationships are not meant to be permanent, because those relationships are just about, they have this temporary phase. It's up to a certain time and then it goes away, right? And because you focus our entire energy only on this aspect of family and friends, what happens is we completely cut off ourselves from the self and the aspect of God also being a source of love. And we feel that if I was traumatized in a relationship or I wasn't respected enough, that's it, that's the end. And I'm not able to go or think beyond that. Why? Because that was my only source of love and that is now taken away. Right? So for me to understand that there is something more permanent, there is something constant source of love that is also there that I need to tap into in order to bring about the healing within. Okay, so any questions so far on what we have covered?
Sister Sneha, I have a question.
Yes.
When you talk about self-love, would you say that self-love has to begin with first having a self-worth of oneself? And that self-worth is, when you're born as a girl child, particularly in a country like India, you're not given the worth that is given to a male sibling. So how do you have self-esteem and self-love when you don't have self-worth to begin with?
That's a very, very good question. And we're actually going to cover it very, very soon as we go ahead.
Oh.
So it will be covered.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Okay. So, all right. So this was about...
I have one question. How, my thing about love is, how will one know self-love if they don't really even know what love truly is? So how do we know what love truly is?
Mm-hmm.
I saw you talk about the source we get love from is from God, from self, and from family. But what is love?
Great question. Again, I'm going to cover it right, as we go ahead, I'm going to cover this aspect too. So I think what we'll do is we'll straight jump into self-love, since that's the one that's sparking questions. So let me open up another screen. So when it comes to looking at our own self, we have 3 personalities within us. 3 personalities. One personality is that of arrogance, or I would say ego. And we all have this. We have it to a very subtle extent. In some, it's more visible. In some, it's more subtle internally. Well, what we do is we easily start to compare ourselves with others. We compare and we feel that, oh, I'm better. I'm so and so. So the self-worth comes really from looking at others and then weighing how I am versus the other, and then giving myself some marks for that, right? And what happens in ego really is I am attaching myself to a false image that I've created for my own self, right? So for example, I have this image that I've created for myself. Oh, I'm a perfectionist. Whatever I do, it has to be perfect, right? So I created this image about me, when deep down I know that no one's really perfect in this world, but I am a perfectionist. Whatever I do, I will do it with perfection. And then what happens is I attach myself to that image. So now I'm attached myself to that image. Now, if some fine day someone comes and tells me that, oh, this work that you did, or this task that you did wasn't good enough, what happens? It completely hurts me from within, completely hurts me, right? And what happens really, I feel like a victim. I become very, very sensitive, which means someone will tell me anything, and soon I will, just completely shut myself. If you looked at touch me not plants or touched one, you'll see the moment you touch a little, all the leaves will close, right? So it's like that touch me not plant. You say something and that's it. It will just trigger a series of emotions within. Right? Why? Because somewhere I am carrying an image about myself which is not true, and I'm attached to that. And when I'm attached to that, I'm holding it very, very tightly from within. Like, for example, when I'm a kid, I'm holding a teddy bear very tightly in my arms. And then someone comes and, suppose it's my playful cousin, or someone comes and pulls the teddy bear from my hands. And then I feel so hurt that I cry and I go and complain to my parents, right? It happens, right? When we're kids, we're holding on to our toys and someone snatches it, we really don't like it. The same thing happens in a very subtle way internally, that we attach to certain images that we create about ourselves. And when someone comes and says something that is opposite to what I'm attached to, the image that I'm attached to, I become very, very, I become very upset. I feel very pain. I feel the pain within. I feel the hurt because I was holding on to that false image. So first, and when this arrogance is there, I am not able to really go to the layer of healing, because usually what happens in relationships is we carry this very strong belief that I am right and you are wrong, right? This is something we hold on to. And in some cases, it's like if you're abused and all, obviously this statement will be very strong, that what you did was wrong to me. It was not acceptable, right? But when we hold on to this particular statement very, very tightly within, right? When we hold on, it's like I'm holding on to something very tightly. And even this particular thought is giving me a lot of pain. So I already have the emotion of pain. On top of that, I'm adding a layer of I am right, you are wrong. And so I'm really not able to go within to the depth of the pain in order to feel the love that I have.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not able to feel that love that I can have for the self, and also which can help me in the process of healing, right? So it's very, very important to free yourself from these thoughts that I was right, what you did to me was wrong, because that is not going to take us a level further into the process of healing. So for healing,
Okay, so unmute, okay? And
I'm sorry, whoever that was talking, if you have a question, you can unmute, but otherwise, if you can keep yourself muted, that would be great. Um, so that was about right and wrong. We have to surpass this particular thought and start to look more and more deeper within. Then the next is, and this is about self-respect, which is very, very closely tied to self-love. Right? So when there isn't any self-respect, we, like I said, we get very, very self-critical. Like things that we do, we give ourselves life imprisonment for that, right? If we did something and we were not happy with the outcome of it, we will constantly remind ourselves of that again and again. And it's like as if I am not even able to forgive my own self. So no forgiveness for the self, right? So no forgiveness for the self because we lack self-respect. Self-respect means when I look within, I have that feeling of self-worth, which means I am worthy. Even though I make mistakes, I am worthy. Even I don't make the best of the choices, I am worthy. So when I look at myself, I don't look at it myself from a critical lens, but I look at myself with a lot of respect, just like I would look at anyone else with respect, right? If someone comes in front of me, especially when there are the elders in the family, there's a natural feeling of respect, natural feeling of care and gentleness towards that other soul, right? The same thing even starts to, I start to feel within. There is gentleness, there is this feeling of care, and I'm able to see my own worth. I'm able to see my self-worth without someone else coming and telling me that, oh, you're good at this, you're so good. Usually what we do is we wait for appreciation in order to see our worth. And that self-worth increases the self-respect. And this self-respect is what leads to self-love. So when you respect the self, you respect in whatever, no matter what is within you, you're actually having that self-love. Right? And loving is about accepting the way you are. So when you ask what is love, it is accepting who I am, and even it is accepting others as who they are. That's really love, right? You love your children, you accept them the way they are. You love your parents because you accept them the way they are. You accept them, you see the strengths, you see the weaknesses, but even then, you just with them and you respect them, you care for them, you're gentle towards them. That is self-love, and that comes from respect. So when we have self-respect, and this self-respect is, in other words, what we call is pure pride. And pure pride is not pride in general, but pride comes from I'm looking at others and the ego comes in. But pure pride is really when I look within and I can see myself to be someone who's worthy, someone who's special, someone who's contributing something in the life of others, doing something good for the others. So I see that value for myself, and this value comes very naturally. So I don't wait for someone to tell me you're good. I just feel it very naturally. I feel it very naturally. I remember when I came to this organization, I lacked self-respect to a major extent. I had all these emotions of fear, insecurities. And I remember once, we have Sister Geeta, who's a senior sister here, and she just said, don't wait for anyone to appreciate you. What you do, you appreciate yourself for what is done. So I quickly started following what she said. So even if I was doing small tasks, like, just washing the dishes, keeping the dishes on the rack, at the end of it, I would say that, oh, look, the sink is clean, the dishes are put where they are. I did a good job. And it's like, just giving yourself a tap on your shoulder. So what it really started doing for me is I started appreciating myself automatically. And I was not looking for or seeking for any appreciation from others anymore. It was a very natural process where everything small, even if you just sweep the floor at the end, just look at the floor, look at the result. Okay, everything is clean. Isn't that good? And I contributed to this, right? So it's about appreciating the self. So automatically the self-worth will increase. You will have self-respect, and you will be able to then forgive yourself. You won't be so harsh on yourself anymore. All right, that's the third personality. And the fourth one is really about the awareness. Awareness, sorry, I'm just not having so much of space here, but awareness of I being the soul, the spiritual being. And this is a very important personality that we need to be aware of, right? Awareness means I can remember this is who I am. It's active in my consciousness. This thought is very active, that I am a spiritual being, which means I am free from the labels, the judgments of others, right? Usually what I do is I get very attached to things around me, including my own body, right? My body is like that. This is my nationality, this is my gender. So, the question came up where the gender consciousness comes in, and the men are given priority over the women. Well, what we have to do is going within, and you yourself going beyond that gender consciousness into being soul conscious. So really what you're doing is you're removing, slowly disconnecting yourself to all the labels that you've been attached to, and you're really seeing yourself as who you truly are, a spiritual being. And when you see yourself as a spiritual being, the what really happens is, and when you say soul, soul and soul consciousness, what you're really doing is being in the awareness, or just creating that thought that I am a micro point of light, a spiritual being in this body, and I am very, very pure, like a light that gives light to the self and others. So I am that light. So when I am in the awareness of soul consciousness, which is the third personality that I have, what happens is very, very naturally, what starts to grow in us is self-respect. Very, very naturally. Just like, when you did the dishes, you appreciated yourself. Again, that was increasing the respect you had. But soul consciousness is the key towards self-respect, because I start to see myself beyond the physical labels, beyond the judgments of others, beyond the criticism of others. I just see myself as this pure being of light, very, very pure, peaceful, loving, right? And then slowly what happens is I get tuned into the intrinsic qualities of the soul, the innate qualities of the soul, just by having this consciousness. So when there is soul consciousness, self-respect starts to emerge. And when there is self-respect, automatically we develop self-love. There is self-love that develops, and we are able to heal ourselves with that love. With that love, we're able to heal ourselves. So does anyone have any question?
Yes, I do. This is Anil.
Yes, go ahead.
So the question is basically speaking, you are soul conscious, but if your loved ones keeps on bombarding you with a negativity or completely negative of what you are, then doesn't it basically impact you, and then how one should respond it so that you can live in the society also and create your own, you might call your own aura, if you want to call it, I think. So that's basically my question. I think I'm an honest person. I have all the things. Other people believe me I'm honest. But if you have one relative who keeps on basically falsely accusing it somebody else, in general, I'm asking it, then what happens? You start questioning yourself. Why is this thing? Why is happening?
Right, and that's a good question. So what really happens is when you're practicing soul consciousness and the other soul is not, right? So the soul is also is influenced with their emotions and they're bombarding on you. So what is really happening is they are venting out and you're the source who they are venting out on. So it's again, starting to look at the deeper level of this emotion blast that's coming towards you, right? If they are bombarding you with emotions of anger or whatever, so on and so forth, whatever emotions, but deep down within, they are lacking self-love. They are in pain. And that emotion of anger is just a secondary response to that primary emotion, which is within of pain. And that is of not having love for the self. That is not by understanding who they truly are. There's no self-respect. And because of that, the bombardment comes to you. So rather than looking at the bombardment, if I just go to the primary emotion of that and look at the pain that the soul is holding within, rather than eye-catching that emotion and also vibrating with that same emotion, I just, from my end, I begin to release a lot of peace, that at least I am in a stage where I'm able to understand myself, have love for the self, and release that energy of love and peace towards that other soul. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's very easy to catch those emotions of anger, but when you look deeper within at yourself and also what's going on in the other's life, you will just see that this is a secondary emotion. The primary emotion is some pain within that they themselves are not aware of. And at least I am in a position where I can understand that,
Nina,
right? So
I have a question for you.
yes, go ahead.
Remember, Anisha used to make quesadillas. Now Tanya is making that for herself. She says, I'll make
Shanti
for
Ben,
you. Did she
is
ever
that
make one with some vegetables on it also? Or is it possible to do it?
I wasn't sure if that was a question. But Anil Bhai, did that help answer your question to some extent?
What happens is, should one respond, like for example, you get all that thing in an email or somebody spreading things about an individual completely wrong,
Mm-hmm.
either you keep on defending it, or should you respond by email, or just ignore it and say that I know that fellow is having problem, which we know it, his family knows it, and I don't need to respond to his email, or just basically think that that person has gone mad, and I'm not going to respond to it. Let that damn thing happen, whatever it is. Pardon my language.
No, that's okay. So what you really need to do is at that time, go within and ask yourself, do I feel the need to respond to this particular soul, or am I just good with not responding? I think that's something you check with your own self, what is really coming from your heart. And if you do want to respond, but then respond with a lot of dignity and royalty, that maybe what you said wasn't something that resonated with me, and this is what I need to share from my end. So what you're really giving, and share it with a lot of peaceful vibrations. So even when you're typing that email, let your consciousness be very peaceful, because then your vibrations are also with those emails. Don't forget that, right? Your vibrations are connected with the email. So when the other opens it, at least they will receive some peaceful vibrations, via that email. So send with the peaceful, staying peaceful. If you feel the need to write a response, write it. And send it, and then whatever has to happen after that, right? So it's not about always being silent. It doesn't mean that we don't respond. We can definitely respond, but respond with the peace and respond with the clarity that that soul consciousness brings in.
I really like that, what you said, because what I was having a lot of problems with that, and I felt like I had to confront, but the way I was doing it, I wasn't doing it from a space of love. But I like what you said about realizing that when a person is approaching you in that way or doing something like that, more than likely they are in pain. So coming from this loving space, like you said, and being understanding and sending that light, that love light, even though you're going to confront, but you're going to be loving. I really and truly like that, because I've started to practice that and it does work, because then I don't feel guilty. I don't feel bad. I really feel like I'm not taking anything personally, realizing, this is not about me. I really like that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, because see, this was something you did out of pure love. This is why there was no need to hold on to any suppressed emotions. You just responded with love, and it was easy for you to, pass through the situation. But sometimes when we forget that love, and even we get caught up too much in that relationship or that scene, then what happens is we hold on to those emotions and we carry it forward with us for a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
I
agree.
Last one on that line of thought. But so your love or not responding or responding is construed by others as your weakness. Like, for example, somebody demanding money from you unnecessarily, even though you don't owe anything, they're accusing you. Now, if you respond with love, that means you just give up. And as you give up, then what happens is there's more and more demands being made, and you are basically like being held to the ransom. Or how do you handle that type of situation, particularly with loved ones, not say strangers, where you can just break the relationship?
I think there's again a misconception that when we are coming from a space of love, we will always say yes to whatever you will tell me to do. Right? That's a misconception. With love, there should be a balance of authority, which means when you feel you're being misused, when you feel your worth is not being understood, you always have that capacity in you to step up and say, no, I will not do this for you. And it can come from a very loving space in your heart too, where you understand that if I do this, it's just going to lead to my downfall or maybe the downfall of the other person. So you stand up, and here's where the authority figure in you comes in, where you have love, but then at the same time you understand that your love is not being considered, taken in a right way. So it's not that I stop loving. I'm still coming from a space of love, but I just turn down the offer, or I just refuse to help in that particular space where if it feels that this thing is not going in a right direction. You understand what it means? It means you face it. It's not that you have to always be submissive. It is not about being submissive. It is also about being powerful enough to say no, to face a situation when necessary.
Yeah. That's one thing that I love about Brahma Kumaris. I love your 8 powers. Those 8 powers, I just feel like we have these powers and we've been using them with the wrong way all the time. And now that I'm so awakened to them, and I'm so grateful to you all, because I find myself trying to practice them so much. And it really, really is like, I see it as my 10 commandments, like, with the Catholic, there are 10 commandments. I see that as my checklist on how to go through my day. The 8 powers of Raj Yoga is amazing, especially the power to face. Amazing. Thank you.
Of course. So I'm just looking at the chat box, and so I'm just going to read that out. Soul brings with it its baggage called prior sanskaras, and that contamination itself does not let the soul function or let you experience its inner qualities, and therefore you lack to realize soul consciousness. How to dissect this situation or this scenario? So yeah, that's true. We come with our bags and baggages of the past. This is why we're all here, to let go of the past, right? So it's not about just letting go the scenes of the past with relationships, really, but it is all about even letting go the habits that we carry from the past life into this life. So and this is when soul consciousness again helps. This is the key, that I cannot say that I am carrying something from the past, so I cannot be soul conscious. But we have to look at it from a different way, that being soul conscious is going to allow me to release the burdens of the past, right? So the burdens of the past is not the problem. The problem is really that I want to switch my awareness. I want to switch my awareness now to who I truly am and focus on that, right? So it's just one thought. If, for example, I am a peaceful soul, and I tend to give this thought a lot of attention for a good few minutes. What I'm experiencing that time is soul consciousness, right? So it's all about coming into the awareness, creating that beautiful thought of I being the soul, visualizing yourself like a micro point, the micro point within this body, and also connecting to the Supreme. The Supreme is also a micro point. And we are running a little short of time, but I definitely do want to cover the love that we get from God. So I'm going to go there real quick. So we talked about self-love. Now the next is love that we receive from God, right? And the beauty about this love is that it is completely, this beautiful word that was there, contamination, right? This is totally uncontaminated, pure source of love. Sometimes self-love is also mixed with criticism, but when we connect to God, that the moment that what we really feel is the purest of the love coming from the Supreme. Because if you see, the Supreme is uninfluenced by whatever is happening in this world. The Supreme is uninfluenced. Everyone else were to some extent influenced by what's happening. God is a source which is uninfluenced, pure. So when I connect, like I, the micro point, I'm connecting to another micro point through, our thoughts. So, we say in meditation, we're connecting to God, but, in true sense, what we're really doing is we're remembering God. We're remembering who he is. And I'm using the word he because we connect on the basis of a father, but really God is genderless. It's just the point of light, right? So when I connect to something that is very pure, uninfluenced, not contaminated. And what I really do is I start to download into myself. It's like there's a live streaming happening where what is really getting downloaded into myself is peace, power, immense love. And this is stable love. It's not influenced or conditional. This is stable love because God accepts me the way I am, right? It's about that acceptance, which is very natural. So that love then flows in, and that starts to give me a lot of inner strength because I see the virtues in me start to grow. I see the love within me growing. I see peace. I see the power within me growing. And very natural, it gives me the inner strength to heal, right? To heal. So, I would say that when we connect with God, really, we remember God. And this remembrance doesn't require practice, really, because consciousness is very natural to remembrance is very natural to our being. We are constantly remembering something or the other. I may be sitting here and remembering all the tasks I need to do next, or I may be remembering something of the past. So this remembrance is so natural. It's in our consciousness. And what we have to do in meditation, just remember the Supreme, right? But for that, we need to understand the Supreme to a good extent in order to remember and have these powerful experiences where I'm downloading that pure energy within me and feeling the love of God, the love which is so pure and so clean and which charges me completely. All right, so There's a question, which episode can I find 8 Powers Being Shiv Shakti by Sister Shivani? I don't know the exact link. Maybe if you Google it, you should be able to find it. The next question is, you can respect someone without loving them, but you cannot have sincere love for someone and not respect them. Yeah, you can respect someone without loving them. We do that for a lot of people, right? But you cannot have sincere love for someone and not respect them. That's true. When you have love, there's automatic respect that comes. Automatic respect that comes, right? And they both together, they very, very related. Respect and love, true self-respect and the self-love, very, very connected. What would really gain strength from is this beautiful connection that you make with God and the practice of soul consciousness, because it allows tremendous strength to develop within, and this strength really helps us heal a lot of those emotions that I'm holding on to within. So anyone else, any questions? Anyone else? So can we practice some self-love?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So yeah, we'll end with a little bit of meditation where we can connect to us or self, become soul conscious, and we can also connect to the Supreme. And then as the self-healing happens, you'll see automatically you're able to release a lot of those emotions, and the past scenes automatically move away. So you give yourself the love, and in that reward that you get is you forget the pain and the emotions, which give you a lot of burden internally. All right, so what we'll do now is we'll so this remark which says constant integrated awareness. I'm not sure if that is a question or okay, it's just a remark. All right. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll meditate now, and I would just prefer that we end this workshop in silence. So I'm going to bring up a picture of light. You can, instead of closing your eyes, I would just encourage all of you to keep your eyes open while the meditation is going on. And towards the end of it, and trust me, this is a very beautiful experience. For 1 minute, if we can all turn on our cameras on Zoom just for 1 minute and just look at each other's as souls, as beautiful beings of light. So what thought I really need to create within when I'm looking at others is, I am a spiritual being and you are a spiritual being. And look at the light, which is at the center of the forehead. Just 1 minute, we will be looking with that soul conscious vision. And I want you all to experience it. So it will be nice if you can turn on your cameras, and then we'll silently move towards the next section, which is our 1-hour meditation that we have from 6:30 to 7:30. All right. So for now, focus on the light, and at the end, we all can turn on our cameras. 1 minute of silence, and we'll look at each other in a soul conscious way. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Sit back, relax, and focus your attention towards the center of the forehead. I, the being of light, the being of love, reside in the center of the forehead. I am a shining star, a sparkling jewel, free from the dust of looking at the past and thinking about others. I focus completely on myself, on that light shining within so brightly. In front of me, I see the Supreme Soul, the source of spiritual energy, divine energy, the source of pure love. I receive the rays coming from the Supreme. These rays are filled with immense love. And they begin to create this deep feeling of acceptance, acceptance for who I am, for my choices, for what others have done to me. I choose to let go as this healing power from God enables me to go beyond the source of love, the supreme energy is healing me with his pure love. And with this healing, there is deep cleansing happening within. Now, for a minute, we shall stay in silence and look at ourselves as those beautiful beings of spiritual light. Shanti.
ओके उनको मैं बाय करता हूँ। थैंक यू।